The day of the earthquake, the night of the aftershock. CBS 6 News has team coverage and exclusive video of one of the strongest quakes to ever rock the East Coast.
How many were hurt and how much damage inflicted? We'll take you live to the epicenter of a massive quake felt up and down the Atlantic coast.
I'm Stephanie Rochon.
And I'm Sam Brock. Once in a century. That's how the earthquake that rumbled out of Louisa County is being described tonight.
CBS 6 News sent crews across the Commonwealth to cover it. We'll have live reports for you in just a minute, but first, aftershocks remain a concern. Send it right over to Chief Meteorologist Zach Daniel. And Zach, we've already felt some.
It was fairly quiet this afternoon and evening, and then we got a pretty strong aftershock at 8:04 this evening, a 4.2 aftershock right along 522. Some people that live in the area say that this was actually even stronger than the original earthquake. They were probably just closer to it, but still pretty significant out there. Both of these quakes, both the original earthquake and the second strong aftershock that we had at 8 o'clock, both of those fairly shallow, and shallow earthquakes tend to rock the area a bit more. There have been a total of 4 quakes, the original one and 3 aftershocks. One of these circles is extraneous. Let me show you the seismic zones for Virginia. This is a little bit hard to read. This is the Richmond area. There is the seismic zone. It's called the Central Virginia Seismic Zone. Not as active as the one off to our west. Extremely rare to have anything over a 5.5 on the Richter scale. In fact, a computer model was run on that very fact. It said in 10,000 years there'd only be 6 such earthquakes, and we had one of those today. Not as rare are hurricanes, and we've got one of those headed our way. I'll have the latest on Irene straight ahead.
Thank you, Zach. The damage from the quake seems to be minimal in many areas, but some towns near the epicenter have serious damage.
The hardest hit, the folks in Louisa County, and that is where we find our Angela Pellerano tonight, who has seen everything firsthand. Angela?
That's right, Sam. There were no casualties, but we're told the 911 call center was flooded with calls with people complaining of chest pain and heart attacks. The damage was limited to a few homes and buildings, but extensive enough to close 2 of Mineral Virginia's schools, Thomas Jefferson Elementary and Louisa County High School behind me, until it can be repaired. And as for the residents, it is safe to say it is a day they will never forget. Tuesday afternoon, an earthquake rocked the tiny town of Mineral, shattering glass and storefront windows, damaging its only high school, and rattling the nerves of residents wherever they were.
All of a sudden, it just started shaking.
This young man was inside this food line when the quake struck around 1:50.
It looked like a tornado had run through it. There was just food all over the place.
And we just felt it rumble.
Tony and Thomas Lewis were getting ready to watch TV inside their home when they felt the tremor.
He thought the earth was ending.
On the outside, bricks fell and statues were knocked over.
All that structure damage, all of it.
But inside, the quake knocked pictures from walls, glass and plates from kitchen cabinets, ornaments from shelves, and cracked walls.
Outrageous.
Upstairs, it knocked the TV off the dresser, and the walls then started to cave in.
The fire department told us that we couldn't stay at the house.
The Lewises, like many others, were sent to this command center at the fire department, equipped with volunteers assisting residents whose homes were damaged.
Thank God for the fire department.
And you're looking at a live picture of Louisa County High School, where local law enforcement, is working overtime, getting help from Virginia State Police, keeping a close eye on damaged homes, businesses, and schools just like this one to keep looters away. Live in Mineral, Angela Pellerano, CBS 6 News. Let's send it back to you.
Thank you, Angela. Due to the damage caused by the earthquake, schools in Louisa County will remain closed until the day after Labor Day. Also, children in Spotsylvania County will not have their first day of class tomorrow as previously scheduled. The new first day of school will be on Thursday.
A lot of people were concerned about the North Anna Power Station. The nuclear plant is located just a stone's throw from the quake's epicenter. Dominion shut down the plant's 2 reactors as a precaution. So far, inspectors say they have not found any evidence of damage to the 33-year-old facility. At a news conference this evening, Governor Bob McDonnell says they've taken steps to protect the state's energy supply.
It's a fair amount of the generating capacity of the state. About 10% comes from North Anna, but Dominion does not predict any power outages or shortages at this time. But their staff is obviously looking at every inch of that plant at North Anna to make sure that there's no invisible structural damage.
A spokesman for Dominion says the North Anna Power Station was designed to withstand a 6.2 magnitude earthquake. As we mentioned earlier in the newscast, our reporters and photographers have traveled across the state in search of earthquake damage and talking to people who felt it. And our John Burkett's journey began in downtown Richmond on the 10th floor of an office building. John's live downtown now with the story. John?
Sam, I was in that high rise speaking with former Mayor Rudy McCullum in his office when it started violently shaking. Now, trust me, I spent 5 years in the Navy, did several stints on different ships out in the ocean, and I've never felt anything rock and sway quite like that building did this afternoon. A 5.8 quake. It is definitely something that if you were not riding in a vehicle, you felt. A frightening shake and roll in downtown Richmond.
Could actually feel the building move up, down, and sideways.
To right outside the earthquake's epicenter in Cuckoo, Virginia.
Well, I really didn't know what to expect, but I was just devastated by the apparent damage on the outside. We lost all of our chimneys, the brick walls, which are ancient. It's a 250-year-old house.
And beyond. Some say this stuff is supposed to happen out west in California, not Culpeper.
This is the East Coast. No, indeed. I never have. So it was quite shocking.
The 5.8 quake not only has shaken the bricks from this barbershop rooftop here in the center of town, but also the nerves of about 25 people that were inside.
It felt like somebody yanked the rug from up under us and the building started swaying, so we ran out the backside of it.
Walking down the road, inspectors assessed the damage while others rubberneck. 2 counties and more than 50 miles away, the owner of this nationally historic home plans her next move.
While this is very painful, it's material possessions, but a lot of memories, and we will do all we can to get it back to the way it should be.
The bricks, the glass, the mortar, it can all be replaced. Many say the good news about this damage is no one was seriously hurt.
We feel very blessed, and I think we just need to remember that family is first. No matter what happens, call your family every day. Remember to say I love you.
And those words, Steph and Sam, were a struggle to get this afternoon as cell phones jammed, text messages were slow coming in, emails were slow. Definitely an eye-opening experience here in Central Virginia this afternoon. Reporting live in downtown Richmond, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, John. The effects of the earthquake shocked regions far beyond just Central Virginia. As you see right there, the White House. When the ground started moving in Washington, D.C., emergency officials evacuated the White House, the Pentagon, and the Capitol. The tremors also stopped a news conference in New York City, causing everyone to run from the building.
The building started shaking, then we got up and it started shaking. Everybody was screaming and we all got dizzy and then we just ran out.
Also in Washington, 3 spires on the National Cathedral came crashing down. Inspectors also found some cracking in the stones at the top of the Washington Monument. It will remain closed for the time being.
The earthquake caught a lot of people by surprise,
including those of us who work in this very newsroom. This footage was recorded by in-house surveillance camera. The massive quake shook our entire building, causing the producers working in the newsroom, there goes Lauren Mackey, to go running for a safe place. You can see that some reacted a little quickly or a little more quickly than others.
And this is how it looked inside the Apple store at Short Pump Town Center. You can see all the customers and employees begin to stream out of the store into the courtyard just outside. If you've ever been in that Apple store, you know everyone's standing to begin with, so it seems like they were ready to roll once the ground started to rattle. Well, would the quake stop the democratic process? Parts of Virginia held primary elections today. We sent Lorenzo Hall up to Stafford County to check with the pollsters, but the people who first caught his attention were shoppers.
Today's earthquake could be felt by almost everyone along the 95 corridor, and Stafford County was no exception.
Well, I just felt a little rumbling in camp.
I didn't think it was as strong as some of the ones out west, but it seemed to last a little bit longer.
While the quake seems to be unavoidable, there are some people who actually didn't feel it at all, like Talia Mateen.
I was on the phone with my aunt from Philadelphia, and I heard her say, "What is this shake in my chair? Let me call you back." I said, "Okay, call me back."
Mateen says she was driving through this Stafford shopping center during the quake, and when she got out of her car, Mateen says she was turned away from the stores.
Inside of the store, things were knocked off the shelves, picture frames were broken, lamps were broken.
I thought maybe they, blew something up at Quantico or, it was another terrorist attack or something, because it just shook so bad in there.
While today's earthquake may have prevented people from picking up a few items at their favorite department store, it didn't stop one important process, voting.
The equipment at Drew Middle School here in Stafford County got moved outside per the fire marshal.
Assistant Registrar for Stafford County Cameron Sassnett says voting for today's primary election was moved outdoors after part of the ceiling and drywall inside of this school collapsed.
People are definitely glad that, not too much is going to stop the democratic process here in Stafford.
Sassnett says despite the early afternoon quake, there were still plenty of people casting their vote well into the evening. In Stafford County, I'm Lorenzo Hall for CBS 6 News.
While the power stayed on for most of Virginia, there was a major gas emergency just about an hour north of Richmond. Columbia gas workers found a leak along William Street in downtown Fredericksburg this evening. A 4-block section of the town had to be completely evacuated. We're told that natural gas has made its way into Fredericksburg's sewer system, and crews are working to ventilate the gas and repair the pipeline.
We will have more on the earthquake in just a few minutes, including video of what happened at a Virginia car dealership when the quake struck in the middle of filming a commercial. You'll want to see it. And remember, you can find complete coverage on our website, WTVR.com. Pictures, video reports, and the most updated stories about the quake and the aftershocks and the damage. Another big story we're following. The head coach for the University of Richmond football team has resigned less than 2 weeks before the Spiders' opening game.
That resignation comes literally hours after he was arrested and charged with drunk driving. CBS 6 Sports Director Lane Casanante has been working this story all afternoon. And Lane joins us now live in the newsroom. Lane?
Sam, it's about 10 days before they open the 2011 season, and the Richmond Spiders and the entire U of R community were rocked by the news that second-year head coach Latrell Scott had resigned after being arrested for a second DWI offense. Scott was arrested by Virginia State Police shortly after 3 Tuesday morning and charged with driving while intoxicated and refusing a field sobriety test. This was his second offense in the last 5 to 10 years, according to Henrico District Court documents. Early this morning, Scott informed his bosses at Richmond and soon after offered his resignation. U of R officials knew about his first offense when he was hired and maintain everyone understood the expectations moving forward.
We spent a great deal of time during the interview process talking about issues. One of those was that issue about what the expectations would be about him for the future. And I think it was clearly understood that this was an opportunity for Coach Scott, and that it was very important that there not be a second occurrence.
Scott's next appearance in Henrico Court will be on September 27th. Miller was the only person who spoke from Richmond tonight, and to the best of his knowledge, Coach Scott has not spoken to the entire team about his resignation, but if he would like to, the school will help make it happen. We'll have more from Miller coming up later in sports. Sam?
Thank you very much, Lane. Coming up right after the break, we'll take you to another part of Virginia hit hard by today's quake. The people were spared, but their cars, not so lucky.
Speaking of cars, wait until you see what happened when the floor started to shake right in the middle of a commercial shoot at a Virginia auto dealership.
And our chief meteorologist, Zach Daniel, is keeping a close eye on those aftershocks. Oh, and by the way, a hurricane is also in the near future. His full forecast is just minutes away.
Continue our coverage of the 5.8 magnitude earthquake that shook central Virginia this afternoon. This video came to us from Tyson's Corner in Northern Virginia. Bricks and cinder blocks came tumbling off the side of a building, doing significant damage to cars in the parking lot. Well, as we know, even when a major quake is over, there's still danger.
Yeah, our Wayne Koval was on the scene of a building evacuation in Gilpin Court this afternoon. He filed this report.
For most people, when the earthquake hit, it was some scary moments. Well, imagine being in an 11-story building. Well, 250 people live here at Fay Tower in Gilpin Court. There were about 400 people, including visitors and employees inside, and they say it shook the building. Building inspectors say it shook the building so hard, brick actually pushed away from part of a stairwell and also in between a second and third floor on the back side of the building. Now, firefighters came here and helped evacuate this home for the elderly, and it took about 45 minutes because many people who live here aren't able to move very quickly. But 3 people were slightly injured, but no serious injuries here, and building officials have been throughout the building, and they say it's now safe for everyone to move back in. Reporting from Gilpin Court, Wayne Koval, CBS 6 News.
We have seen a lot of incredible footage of damage caused by today's earthquake. In a few cases, the actual earthquake itself was captured.
That was the case for an unlucky car dealership manager who was filming a commercial when the earth moved underneath him. It's all on tape. Take a look.
How you doing? I'm David Harmon. I'm the general manager at GNC Tire and Auto. Just thought we'd take this opportunity to show you our new customer waiting room. Hey, you feel that? Hey, Greg! Huh? What was that? My God, I think that was an earthquake. How you doing? I'm David Harmon. I'm the general manager.
CBS 6 Sky Tracker brought to you by Vaugh Auto Body.
I actually think the earthquake saved that guy from the embarrassment of that commercial actually playing on the air somewhere. It was bad to begin with. 68 degrees, the current temperature outside. A very quiet night. It's been quiet since the latest strong aftershock, which occurred at 8:04 this evening. Let's head on over and get to the latest on Irene. The center of Irene is now moving just a little bit over to the west of Turks and Caicos, and you can see a ragged eye now developing with this storm. The central pressure has dropped a lot today, but the wind speeds still have not increased, so it's a 90-mile-per-hour hurricane. That's a Category 1. It's moving to the west at 9 miles per hour. It will likely strengthen. The waters are very warm. Still some shear that this hurricane is battling right now, so the strengthening may take a little bit longer, but it should become a major hurricane, stay away from Florida, and then the important part for us, it looks like it'll make landfall probably across the North Carolina Outer Banks. This track has shifted to the east significantly over the past 24 hours, and you can see at 8 o'clock in the evening, it is over the Outer Banks. Looks like it's probably pretty close to the Corolla area at that time, and then up pretty close to New York City by 8 o'clock Sunday night. So late Saturday night is probably when we're going to see our strongest winds here in the state. And here are the future winds. I've stopped this at 11 o'clock at night, and it looks like we could see 40 to 60 mile per hour winds in the red area, which would include Richmond and Petersburg. A little bit farther east, 60 to 80 mile per hour winds, and then right along the coast, 80 to 100 miles per hour, and depending on where that eye actually passes and how strong the hurricane is. Again, if it's a Category 3 storm, we're talking about winds of 115 miles per hour or greater. The winds could be even stronger, but I think this is a good estimate as it looks right now of what we can expect wind-wise from this storm. Several inches of rain will also be possible. Everything will wind down as we get into Sunday afternoon with just a light breeze by then. Also something to note, when some of these spiral bands move from the ocean onto land, that differential friction creates wind shear. There will be probably several tornado watches issued for the area as that occurs, and so we'll be tracking that as well. Today, a gorgeous day out there, one of the best we've seen all summer long. 60 this morning, 85 degrees this afternoon. And outside right now, we're checking in at 66 degrees with a very light southeasterly wind. 60s just about statewide. By morning, we'll be down into the upper 50s, so it'll be another great start to the day. Clear skies out there right now. It's what you'll wake up to in the morning. A lot of sunshine for tomorrow. We will see some rain between now and Irene, which is not associated with Irene. It'll be this cold front that'll move in on Thursday, late Thursday. This is 11 o'clock at night. So Thursday into Thursday night, a chance for some storms around. Temperatures tonight, upper 50s and lower 60s, and highs tomorrow will make it up into the upper 80s. So warmer than it was for today, but still a really nice day on the way. And there's your planning forecast. Not much to worry about there. South winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. As your 7-day forecast, a 40% chance for a shower storm late on Thursday into Thursday night, a break Friday, and there is the potential for wind and rain with Hurricane Irene.
Thank you, Zach. Coming up in sports, more on the unexpected resignation of Richmond football coach Latrell Scott.
Lanes are next. We'll be right back.
Good evening, everyone. Turns out the University of Richmond felt 2 earthquakes today. One the rest of us know about, the other that came to light late this afternoon. Head football coach Latrell Scott resigned today after being arrested for driving while intoxicated late last night. Next Saturday, Richmond was to officially begin his second season as Spiders head coach when Richmond traveled to take on Duke. But early Tuesday morning, he was stopped and charged with his second DWI in the last 5 to 10 years, according to Henrico District Court records. Scott is an extremely popular personality on the U of R campus and in the community, and word of this has come as a shock to many. The effect goes beyond the locker room and will be felt long beyond tonight.
The core question is, what's the right thing to do under the circumstances? Luttrell believed the right thing to do is offer his resignation. The university administration determined it was the right thing to accept it, and then all the other things, whether it's team pictures or anything else, we just have to fix it. We just have to deal with it. So it was an uncomplicated but difficult decision.
Offensive coordinator Wayne Linneberg will be the interim coach for the entire 2011 season, and Richmond will begin a search for a permanent coach after the season is over. Miller was the only person from the university who spoke tonight. We will hear from Linneberg and some of the players tomorrow. Scott's next appearance in Henrico Court will be on September 27th. Across town, the Virginia Union Panthers are getting the college football season off to an even earlier start. They were already scheduled to kick off the entire season with Saturday's home game against St. Augustine. Now that game is being moved up from 6 p.m. to 2 p.m. in the afternoon to try and avoid the brunt of Hurricane Irene. 2 years ago, the Panthers were a coin toss away from playing for the CIAA title. Last year, their season unraveled when they lost 3 games by 5 points or less, a stat they hope will vanish with more experience on this year's roster.
Just young guys with young minds and young bodies, but good thing about 2011 is that they're juniors. They have 20 games under their belt. I'm really expecting a great year. I haven't been sleeping much, so hopefully this year I'll get a little bit of sleep, but I feel good about going into the season.
And we'll have much more on the Panthers, the Spiders, and all things football coming up Thursday at 8 on our 2011 Pigskin Preview Special, which you can see right here on CBS 6. Quickly, Flying Squirrels gained a half game on Bowie tonight. They split a doubleheader in Altoona, winning the first game 6-2, dropping the second game 4-3. But the Bay Sox lost at home to Akron tonight 4-2, so the Squirrels now a game and a half out of the wild card spot. The news at 11 is coming right back.
In light of today's earthquake and the damage in Louisa County and Spotsylvania County, school for both of those systems is going to be closed tomorrow.
And our coverage will resume at 4:30 in the morning on CBS 6 this morning. We're also on the web and Facebook. We'll see you then.